Birdhouse. So I'm actually going to start by making this centerpiece here with the hole. So we got to figure out what's going to look good for a hole in the middle and still have enough, because this is going to be the height of that piece. So you want to keep it right about, I think I'm going to guess right about there. Now I'm going to cut two at once, so I'm cutting the height. I'm cutting the height of the house here at the same time. Right, so you got both of those cut. Now I'm going to cut that hole. You know, you want to kind of estimate about how big it's going to be. Normally I do this off the side of the table to make it a lot easier. Or if you've got the drill set, use that. But since I want to be accurate to what you get in the set, I'm not using the drill tool. The drill tool would be perfect here. Make it undersized, and now we know it's going to be nice and snug. Okay, so we built this middle piece. Now naturally those are going to be the same size there. So to cut this, you want to figure out about what's halfway. You don't have to mark it, you just have to eyeball it. Now we want to make our saw hit halfway. So again, I like to do two at once. That way I'm sure they're going to more or less be the same size. Now again, we want to go for about straight across and to the point here. I don't think you have to measure it, but you do have to pay attention to what your beginning and your end points are. So I didn't use any tools, but you know, that's reasonable. That's about halfway, right? Good enough. Alright, cut the hole in the front. So in this one we're going to slow down a little bit because this hole has to be pretty. And again, if I was at you at home, I would do this over the side of the bench. But for purposes of this video, I'm just kind of doing it like this. Alright, it's not perfect, but life will go on. Now for this hole, again, undersized is better. Doesn't even have to be square, as long as when you are round. When you stick this in there, you want that to work out, right? So we'll put that in there. So now I've got those pieces. Now we've got our roof. So let's actually let's just go ahead and assemble this first bit. Now, as in other videos, I could sit here and I could pound all these in, but for speed, if you don't mind, I'm just going to shove them in with my fingers. You at home can take your time. Okay, so we've got that assembled. So now we can figure out the length. I like to measure where it's not wobbly, so measure down here at the base. Let's make the roof overhang a little bit, so I'm going to guess about here. Alright, we'll say about there. Now again, I'm going to stack cut. Now if you have a lot of refills, you can actually do a kind of a layover shingle pattern if you make lots of long strips, but we don't have long strips today. So now we got to make this piece here. In the picture, it looks kind of skinny. So again, we can do, you know what, let's just cut this right in half. See if that looks good. I usually like just working with what we have instead of trying to get all delicate and measure stuff. Yep, that's pretty nice. And in fact, let's just go ahead, one nail per side. Alright, nail. Now then I'm going to come back and I'm going to cut it off. Alright, take this piece, come over here. Nail. Get some of this junk out of the way. Nail. Now you can already start to feel this stiffen up. Again, trim off the excess. Okay. Now I gotta put on the roof panels. So the most important thing here is to line it up and get the center right, and then to get your overhang right. So I'm gonna, I think, think that looks pretty good. I'm just going to worry about one side first. Put one nail in the top, then you can pivot it around. See, again, I like to make this simple so you don't have to worry about a lot of technique when you're dealing with a kid. Just put it together. Just have fun building it. You know, don't worry about making sure you're doing it perfect. It's more about the process, right? Experiment and have a little fun. That's why I like building stuff. Alright, so a couple more. Whoa! Of course, this will take you a lot longer, but that's okay. Now, to me, this overhang doesn't quite look like the picture. Oops, this overhang doesn't quite look like the picture, so I'm going to trim it off a little bit. So, it probably would be easier if I took this off the table, but just because, again, for the sake of the video, we'll just do it here kind of crude and fast. Alright, boom. Alright, so we got that part. Right, now we got to make the little square base here. Okay, so now I want to cut it into some strips. I'm going to need 4 strips. So the easiest way is if you guess half, it gives you 2. And if you guess half again, right, and we guess half again, now we've got everything good. So I think I'm going to bring the height of this down a hair. Alright, you know what? Let's go ahead and put the stick in. I just like seeing the stick. Oops, too long. So, there. That's about right. Alright, so we want to do two pieces, and if you use the longer nails here, think about putting them, when you put them in, it helps when you put them in. Again, I know you'll be hammering this in, not pushing it in with your fingers, but you want to push it in at an angle so that these two are kind of pointed at each other, not straight. Instead of being straight like that, you want to have them at an angle. I'm just going to go ahead and do the 2 for the other side while we're here. You may encounter the other nails while you're doing this. Don't worry about it. It doesn't really matter. So again, of course, you know, you can hammer. And it's nice, this stuff bends out of the way. Of course you can take this off. Since I knocked this off, let's just go ahead and keep it off. Alright, boom. So again, I like to start these. And for you at home that you know, want to hammer these through, just go ahead and you can put a little scrap piece underneath. You can start them like that. The other piece. Right, again, we want to kind of keep in mind with the measurements right here. In fact, let's just go ahead and do it right on top. Alright, so now when we push these in, it is hard to hit the middle of a little piece, I'll tell you that. So that's where you may need a little patience. And there we are. Okay, so now that's ready. And we can again just go ahead and stick it back in. There we are. Birdhouse.